Hello everyone, I am sat by this heavy big box of games that has just arrived. You'll be seeing reviews of all of them, most likely, at least some of them, on the channel over the next certain amount of time, because there's a lot of games here. I'm going to move this off the table, and then we're going to go through what's in it. I'm not even exaggerating, it's actually that heavy. We'll throw the paper out the way, and we'll grab straight from the top. First of all, we have the 7 different expansions, the little micro expansions for Railroad Ink. I love Railroad Ink, and any opportunity to get it back to the table is good for me. Now, obviously I know what these are. There are 7 expansions, but I think there's like close to 15, 20 actual expansions here. Each has 4 dice, but some of them are 4 dice is the expansion, and some of these, it's 4 dice are 4 expansions. Super excited. We've got Electricity, Underground, Eldritch, Futuristic, Sky, Arcade, Engineer. Well, that is a good start. And I'm going to try and have all of these visible at one time, so we can see what's coming out of the box. Because, actually, I'm going to lay some of these down because they're going to fall over. Because we're going to do a little bit of a fun game at the end. I always, when I get a box like this, like to do a game called Higher and Lower. We'll work out where they sit in that. Next up, from the top, Onitama is one of my favourite 2-player games. A new expansion. Sign me right up. This is light and shadow. So this adds like screens that you can hide behind, slight asymmetry. There's ninjas, ninja boards, lanterns, and the 2 folding screens. Now you can actually play sort of both, or you could, like, both of you can use the expansion content, or like one of you can use it, the other one isn't using it, or something like that. Not entirely sure how it works, but I always like playing Onitama and haven't actually played it in a while. So this is, again, a bit like with Railroad Ink expansions, my opportunity to get a favourite back to the table. Dive back into the box. Oh, let's go for this tiny little one down here. Canopy. Well, this looks stunning. I mean, the box, and it sort of extends from the box onto all of the cards. You're having these trees with then putting bird tokens down on them, and you've got, just on back here, poison dart frog and stuff like that. It's super vibrant. It's only for 2 players, but I believe you can actually solo this as well. There's also a 3 and 4 player variants included. So I'm surprised they've not just put 1 to 4 on the box, because that's what most companies would do. I'm almost respecting the company for not doing that there. Canopy is the 3rd game. We're just going to count those as 1. Next up we have Ticket to Ride Track Switcher. Yes, Switcher. I have played, let's just get the next one out as well, because it is the Catan logic puzzle. Now, I have played 2 of the 4. These are the other 2. So I've played the Shadow Glyphs, and I've played Zip City, the other 2 LogiQuest games. Shadow Glyphs was interesting. I did enjoy it, and I think I will need to go back and finish that one off. Zip City, I zoomed through. I loved it. It hit the table. I worked my way through the puzzles and then had to stop because my lunch break had finished. And then the next day, I did the same again. I burnt through the LogiQuest Zip City. I really enjoyed that one. The theming of these makes me very interested. Obviously, it's not Ticket to Ride gameplay. It's not Catan gameplay. But to be fair, I like the logic puzzles of these, so I'm very excited to give these ones a go. So, plonk these down here. I'm going to start laying some down over here. Next up, the first of 2 Stonemaier titles, Rolling Realms. I am a huge fan of roll and writes. I think that, yes, everyone says there's so many of them. There's almost too many of them. Yes, some of them aren't great. Some of them are just good. But I very rarely come across a bad one. And when then they've got a little bit of a theme, you can just get invested that little bit more. Not invested as in it sucks you in and, you know, oh my God, this is an immersive experience. But it's just, you're not just putting numbers down. You're doing those for a reason. And that's why I think Rolling Realms with, you know, all of the Stonemaier games then have like bits in here in terms of there is a viticulture card or however that works in here. Very excited, very, very excited for Rolling Realms. Diving back in. This is the game that I saw in Iberian Gauge and I thought this is not a game for me, despite this lovely box art and a fairly nice looking board. I mean, that's not going to win many awards, but that might for artisticness. And then I was like, I'll pass on that. And then I saw the no pun included review, and that got me excited to actually give this one a go. I don't know if it will be for me. I've not played many stock markety style games. I've played some, and I like the look of this one. It's just got enough that it doesn't seem tedious. So very excited to play that one. That is Iberian Gauge, and yes, Ian O'Toole artwork. Hence the lovely look of that. And like I say, the board is nice compared to other train games. Some of them look really bland. Not that one. Next up. This is a heavy bit. This is the one of the new D&D. Nice little thing here. This is the new D&D sort of rules group. This is the standard rules the expansion gift set. So in this this is Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, Monsters of the Multiverse, and Xanathar's Guide to Everything. I'm pretty sure the Monsters of the Multiverse is the new one out of those three. Does it say anything here? Not really. Also, it does come with a DM screen in here as part of the set. Not sure on the price on this one, so this will not be taking part in the higher or lower, but we'll say it's like 120 quid or something like that. So we'll shuffle that there and pray that it doesn't fall on me. Next up we have Vivid Memories. Wow, this looks pretty awesome. Chunky, acrylic-y like tiles that you're filling out a board. That sounds very much like Azul Summer Pavilion, which I very much enjoy. I think this one has much more going on with it though, but excited. Really like a lot of the Floodgate games, you know, Sagrada and such. 30 to 60 minutes, a 2 to 4 player game. That is the sort of one that easily hits the gaming table. And if I show someone that box art, they're going to be at least interested. I think when you turn it round and you show them this is what the game actually looks like, they might be a little bit let down, because there's quite a disconnect from that to the actual filling in a board. But, you know, it gets half the job done. You know, cool box art, and I think it sounds like quite an interesting game. Don't know too much more than that though. So, you know, excited though. Next up we have Kabutos. Now, if you've seen any of my content on the Dice Tower, for instance, you may know that I actually already have this game. So why have I got it again? Well, one of my boards had a bit of a misprint. Basically, there's 4 race maps. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I had 1, 2, 1, and 4, which is a small problem when you try and do the continued race mode where you go across multiple races. So that's why this one. So we'll plop that one. No, we'll keep it in the pile. We'll keep it in the pile. I was going to put it out, but no. And last but not least, if you hadn't guessed, it is a Stonemaier game, because I said earlier there would be 2. The Red Rising Collector's Edition, and I can now finally fold that flap down. I have played Red Rising once before, and I was not lukewarm. I was warm on it, but I wasn't glowing. And I'd like to give it another go. I want to give it another go because I was playing it at a convention. First of all, you're learning a game in a convention setting is not ideal. There were a few questions with the rules that we didn't really get answered. And I kind of just want to give this one another go. I liked the logic of the gameplay. I was a little put off by the variety of cards that you could get. And I don't think that's going to change. But I still want to give it another go just to see. I've played it once. I want to play it a good couple more times to know, actually, does that sort of ebb away and not become a problem? Because Terraforming Mars, one of my favourite games, the first game, you're like, oh, there's so many cards. And then 2-3 games in, you're like, I know what this card does. Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, whatever. Maybe it's going to be the same with this. And I didn't really, I need to give it a proper go. So very excited for Red Rising Collector's Edition. So, like I said, we're going to do a little fun thing here. So, if you want, you can pause the video, and I have a handy-dandy little list here. If you want to do, pause the video, work out in order what you think is going to cost what. And then we're going to go through higher or lower. So we're going to take them all individually. We're not going to count all of those as one, like I said earlier. But where do you think things sit other than on the table? So you've had your guess, at least guess which is the highest and which is the lowest. And here we go. Coming in joint last, we have all of the Railroad Inc. expansion dice sets. Now, I should say these are MSRP, RRP style prices. You can definitely get these cheaper. So, $12.99, that's in pounds, for each of these boxes of dice. Now, I've seen them online for like the £8 mark. And give yourself a bit of wiggle room, but they are the cheapest item here. And that is for all 7 of them. They are all that price. Next up, we have, just checking the list, 2 things joint next. Can you work out what they are? Is it the smaller box? No, not quite. Onyx Armor, Light and Shadow expansion, and Rolling Realms. Not gonna lie, I was a little surprised by that. £20, $19.99. I'm going to probably round up most of the time. So I was impressed at the price with that, to be fair. It's maybe cheaper than quite a lot of other roll and writes. So excited to see if that's, comes across in the component quality and all that sort of stuff. Next up, we have, going down the list, 2 things joint in the next place at £26. Catan, Logiquest, and Ticket to Ride, Logiquest. Same price, they are the same sort of thing. That makes sense. It would be really awkward for shops to sell them at different prices. Next up, we have Canopy, coming in at £30, $29.99. Are you doing well so far? Next up, above $29.99, we have Game Out on its own. $39.99. Iberian Gauge is next. It's quite a thin sort of looking box, but 40 quid for a game, that seems fairly acceptable. Next up, we have, going down the list, 1 game coming in next at the £50 mark. Vivid Memories. Like I said, it's a Floodgate game. The production quality looks really strong, so excited to give that one a go. Next up, we have The Replacement, Kabutos, which is $59.99. That is not cheap. I think it's that price because of the amount of dice you've got in this. You have many, many dice. I'm surprised it's quite that much. We'll come back. Well, I might do a review on that at some point, but it's not cheap. But it's still cheaper than the final one, which is the Red Rising Collector's Edition. Did you get those in rough order? How many of them did you get in the right order? And did you, or if you just guessed, did you guess lowest and highest? Like I said, we're not including the D&D books because that's like 120 quid. And on my list it says not applicable. So don't know the exact price on that. Although if I read in, the US price is... suggested retail price is $169.99. So there you go. That's the approximate price of that. What's that? £130. So that blows the rest out of the water. Interesting when it comes to these. So let's put that one down for a second. So these each being $12.99. Coming just from a, I've not played these. The only thing here I've played is Red Rising and Kabutos. The kind of logic here, 2 of these box expansions is Rolling Realms. That doesn't feel like, I feel like I would just say get Rolling Realms. You know, that there is then £48 approximately, or £50. That's like 70. You could, instead of getting all of these dice, which is a good chunk of dice, you could get anything else here on the table. In fact, you could get, in some cases, 2 items from the rest. But there we have it. Huge box unboxing. I might go through and unbox some of these for the channel as well. Well, that was a bit of fun, wasn't it? And that's a lot of gaming I've got to look forward to. Let me know what is on the way for you. What sort of thing are you, out of these, are you most excited to hear about in the future? And until next time, have a great day gaming.